You're listening to the Hustled Up Podcast. I'm Laura Natoli.
And I'm Holly Silva, and we are best friends since birth turned multi-passionate entrepreneurs and co-owners of Chores and More, a successful service-based business where everybody is treated like a best friend.
Welcome to our show where tactical business education meets fun and real conversations about this wild journey called life.
Get ready to be inspired. Grab your headphones, turn up the volume, and let's hustle up.
Hello, friends and followers and listeners and family and everybody else who loves us enough to be listening today. You are listening and maybe watching another episode of the Hustled Up Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Holly.
And my name is Laura.
And we are so excited to be back and in action, baby. We are here for 2025 with season 4. And we are hoping to bring better content than ever. So we are so thankful you're here. And we're thankful for your patience while we took a much needed break over the holiday season, which wasn't even a break because we were working nonstop. If you haven't already checked it out, our first episode of season 4 was last week with the amazing Kathy Merchant, where we spoke about all things goal setting smarter goals, using, a planner, brain dumping those goals, all the good things to really set you up for success in 2025. So if you haven't listened to that yet, definitely check that out either before you listen to today's episode or after you are done with today's episode. And as always, I know I have to say this every single time, but I will never stop saying it. If you love what you're hearing today, make sure you pause this episode super quick, go to wherever you are listening, and leave us a 5-star rating. And if the app you are on allows, please leave us a review as well. It helps us get our word out there into the ears of fellow entrepreneurs, whether they are just starting out and really in need of some free advice, tips, education, and to avoid the same mistakes that we have made over the last 7 years. Or maybe it's somebody who's a little more seasoned who just needs some encouragement and, a different perspective. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Okay. I'm done being annoying. We are going to go ahead and move on to today's topic. I am so excited to introduce today's topic, which is super simple, I guess. We would call it simple, right? Yeah. Today, Laura and I are going to talk about our words of the year. And speaking of last week's episode, Kathy mentioned her word, which was protect, which was an incredible word. Low-key thought about stealing it, but it just wasn't the right year for that word. I will probably choose it another year. So we are going to talk about our word of the year, which I feel like we did an episode on this last year as well, and why we chose it and what we hope to achieve this year and how this word is going to tie into whatever goals we have this year. So this is another new year powerhouse, encouraging, inspiring episode, or at least we hope it will be. So if you are looking to do some amazing things in 2025, pop in those headphones if they aren't already on. Grab yourself a cup of coffee or a bottle of wine, or no, a glass of wine or a bottle, whatever you want to do. Kick back, relax, and let's hang out. We will be right back.
Are you tired of spending your entire weekend cleaning when you could be going out to brunch with your girls?
First of all, I love brunch. And second of all, yes, there are so many things I could be doing instead of cleaning my house on the weekend.
Oh yeah, like playing video games.
Or watching a movie with the kids.
Going on a date with your significant other.
Taking your dog to the dog park.
Going to the movies.
Solving world hunger.
Yes! Exactly. So this is why it is such a good idea to call up Chores and More for your deep and recurring cleaning needs.
And do you want to know something really, really cool?
What?
If anybody mentions Hustled Up when they call to book, they can receive up to $100 off their deep cleaning.
Up to $100 off. What are you doing still sitting there? Pick up the phone now, mention our podcast, and never have to spend your weekends cleaning again.
Simply go to choresandmorellc.com. You can fill out our request quote form there, or give us a call, send us a text, 631-397-0177. It is time to get back to doing the things you love. Let us take care of the cleaning. Okay, y'all, we are back. And as I mentioned before the little break, we are going to just be talking about our word of the year. And I just want to start by saying a lot of people do this where they choose a word of the year and they use this word to kind of guide them throughout the year. And something that I love to do, which I honestly did not do much last year because I changed out planners and I just stopped looking at the one that I originally documented my word of the year in. What is to go back every month and kind of look at that word and reflect on that word and see, did this word indicate how the month went for you? What can you do differently next month? What can you do differently to, what can you do differently that will kind of align with this word that you chose, right? So it's all fun and games choosing the word, and you make maybe a cute planner spread with the word, you write it down in your notebook. But I think that the more important thing is to make sure you are reflecting and, if possible, measuring and going back and reminding yourself what that word is, why you chose it, and what's your progress on that word. So without further ado, Laura, I'll give you the floor if you want to talk about your word of the year and why you chose it and what you plan to do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every year I choose a word, I don't do what you just said to do, and I never reflect on it. I honestly don't even remember what my word of the year was last year. I don't remember. It's in a planner somewhere that I threw away because I'm the queen of throwing things out. But I really want to make it a priority to reflect on my word this year. And I giggle because my word of the year is prioritize. And I did a lot of reflecting on this, and there's two major reasons why I chose to use the word prioritize. And let me quickly pull up, I did look up a definition just because Holly and I love to always really get really nitty gritty and define what exactly does that word mean. And I know we all know what this word means, but according to the Googs, it means to arrange items or activities in order of importance so that the most important ones are dealt with first. Now, two major reasons that I chose this word. I'm going to be honest, because I suck at prioritizing things. I suck at two major aspects of this. I sucked, especially last year, about prioritizing my health. That's a big one. That's probably the most important thing in life, right? Is your health, whether or not that's physical health, mental health. And I really did not prioritize my health at all last year. I mean, let me not be dramatic. It's not like I was out here like drinking and smoking every day, like nothing like that, nothing crazy like that. But I had set some pretty big goals that were specific to my health last year. I had set goals to lose weight, to count macros, to get back into a workout routine. And I literally ended the year 2 pounds or 3 pounds less than I started over an entire year. And you might say, oh, well, at least you're down. But I had really big goals in mind and really big plans in mind. And I am also, just for a little backstory, somebody that really loves working out. I sense a direct correlation between my mood if I'm actively working out constantly. I mean, I used to be a gym girly many years ago, and then COVID happened, and I really have not been a gym girly since, but it's something that makes me really happy. So I was so focused on work and on growing the business and on grinding it out when it comes to work that I let everything else fall to the back burner, including my health. And I'm sitting here a year later and have made no progress on my weight loss journey, and I'm kicking myself in the pants. So the first reason was that I really want to prioritize my health. I have some business, some personal goals, some health goals, and I am making sure that at the top of that list of importance, my health goals and my weight loss goals are the most important to me this year. So that's the first reason. The second reason is because I really suck at prioritizing my day. I suck at prioritizing my tasks. This is something that Holly and I have been chatting about so much lately. We're really working hard to make sure that we prioritize things in our day, but I suck at spending time on the important things, specifically with work in the business, that are going to move the needle forward. I know what tasks I do that are high value and what are not. And I feel like I am so sucked into busy work and monotonous tasks that anybody can do instead of really focusing on moving the business forward, bringing more money into the business. And I just spend my time doing absolutely nothing. The end of the day comes and I'm like, what did I even do today? What did I accomplish? And it's not that I'm sitting here on my ass doing nothing. I'm just not spending time on the important tasks. So I also want to prioritize my time during the workday a lot better. So that's really the reason why I chose prioritize. Does that all make sense? There's a lot.
No, yeah, it's a great word. It's a really good word. I like that it can be used to kind of guide multiple aspects of your year.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's great. I do.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. You want to go into your
And
word?
yeah, and I really have gone back and forth on my words so many times because this year is a little different for me in terms of the whole new year, new me mindset. And not that I want to get sad because I don't, but I did not go into this year, which I normally do, full of hope and motivation. I'm not going to say that hope isn't there, but motivation definitely isn't. And I think that the feeling of hope is a little less. I'm not saying that it's like non-existent, but I'm having trouble driving, like getting myself into gear. Whereas in past years, I've been like, January 1st, like all of a sudden, like some weird cloud that's over my head floats away. And I don't know what it is. Like all of a sudden I'm like, go, go, go. And I'm like doing this and doing that. And I have all these ideas. And it didn't happen for me this year. And I think it's just, I'm in still a season of grief with my dog. And it sounds crazy. It's already been 3 months, and I'm like, and I'm sure
That's
a lot
not
of people.
crazy.
It,
That's not
it
crazy at
isn't.
all.
I feel
No.
like a lot of people might think like it's just a dog, but like for me, she was a huge part of my life. So I am adjusting or struggling to adjust to a life without her. And then on top of that, 2024 brought a lot of challenges for us. We got our first 1-star review. We had our first insurance claim. There was a lot of firsts that were scary. And not to mention, we grew by 49%. Our business grew by 49%, which is huge. But that kind of growth, it's like you're constantly chasing. You're constantly trying to play catch up. So I feel like I'm not going into a new year like, it's a new year, like, new things are gonna happen. It's like, oh shit, there's so much I didn't do in 2024 that I gotta get done. So it's been hard for me. So I was leaning between two words, which I did mention on last week's episode. And the words were, I was thinking of using balance because I really do want to find balance in my time, in my emotions, in my life. But that will probably be my word for next year. It is ultimately not what I chose. What I chose is the word ascend. And the reason why I chose this word, and it's going to sound a little corny, I think, also, this word struck a nerve with me because I do feel very down right now. Like I feel very like in the ground. I don't feel motivated. I feel sad. I'm getting emotional even as I'm like just talking because
It's okay.
like I went into a tough year. Like I had
Yeah.
a really tough year. So I just want to climb out of that. And so the literal definition to climb for ascend is to like climb or scale like a mountain. And there are other definitions as well, like to advance in rankings in your business or at work and things like that. And even though technically Laura and I are the owners, we like cannot ascend to a higher rank in the business. I still want to ascend into a higher leadership role at work. I want to climb out of this like pile of friggin' ashes that I feel like I'm in. And obviously I just want to grow as a person in this business. Like I just want to climb. Like I want to feel like I'm climbing. And I just want to scale. I want to scale my business. I want to scale in my life. I want to hire more people to help me. I want to delegate. Like these are all things. So Ascend kind of just felt very tied to all of that. Because I'm really hoping that like I can only go up from here. That's kind of where I'm at. So it just resonated with me more than balance, which is why I chose that word. So that's my word of the year. I'm hoping that I can just use it to like just remind myself to keep going, keep climbing. And and just kind of like remember where I started. Like, I don't want to forget how I'm feeling, which I probably won't. I don't see that happening. But I don't want to forget how I'm feeling now when I'm at December 2025 and I can see like how much did I climb? Like where am I now compared to where I was then? And I'm hoping it'll be in a much better place, and hopefully I will have ascended in every, aspect of my life. So that's why I chose that word.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to that because there's this really false sense of new year, new me. And, as soon as the clock strikes 12 on New Year's Day, everything in my life is going to be perfect and I'm going to get my shit together. And that's just not realistic. Like, whatever habits you have on December 31st, they're not going to magically flip just because it's a new year. It takes so much effort and so much attention and so much mindfulness to really put in the work to achieve those goals that are essentially New Year's resolutions, which is why in most cases, most people fall off in February. So I think it's beautiful that you're sharing, like, listen, it's January, beginning of January, and I'm still not really feeling it, but I'm going to climb my way out of that feeling to ascend and achieve the goals that I want to achieve. Because I think there's a lot of people that can probably relate to that.
Yeah, I hope so. I feel bad getting like a little sad and emotional here on this podcast because normally I'm very happy go lucky, but it's been a weird season. It really has. So if you are listening to this and you're if my message is resonating with you, then you are certainly not alone. We're all in it together. And, it's, I have to remind myself that little steps in the right direction will make a big difference. And it's one thing at a time, and, to also just not to keep feeling letting my feelings do their thing. But, I'm trying to, which I'm doing pretty well at actually, but I'm not letting them control how I'm, my reaction, like my reaction to them is controlled. I guess that makes sense. Like, they're not controlling me, I'm controlling them, if anything. And I'm not letting like feelings of, oh, like I'm not really with it. I'm not going to let that like bring me down. I'm not, waking up early. I'm not doing miracle mornings. I'm not like, there's a lot that I'm not doing that I just want to do. But, one thing that I did want to do is eat a little bit better starting on the 1st. And I did that. I dropped a few pounds. So, at least I got one thing that I'm doing, and all of my other goals, I'm just going to, and according to that smarter framework, right? You want them to be specific. You want to make sure their time, I can't think of the word, but like, they have to be done by a certain time. They have to be measurable. So as long as like I do that and like not try to change my entire life overnight, which is what I've done in the past. And like, not that I've succeeded because I mean, look at where I am now, but, I've done it temporarily in the past where like I've just changed everything and then I end up falling back into the old same crap, and I don't want that to happen this year. So I am allowing myself to get off to a slow start, kind of like tortoise in the hare, right? Like I'll make it, but I'm going at my own pace. And as long as it's up, as long as I am ascending, as long as it's up, as long as I am going up, then I am happy. So, I'm not going to rush anything. I think that I've done that too many times. And there is always a sense for me, Laura and I are in our 30s. There's always going to be a sense of urgency with everything. And I feel it hard, and so does she, but I'm not going to let that sense of urgency like completely frazzle my life. You know what I mean? And I've done that in the past, and I really don't want to do that this year. Like I want to grow and I want to ascend, but I don't want to feel guilty when it's not fast enough. So I feel like I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, but that's the overall gist of where I am at this year right now as we sit here on January 9th, 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important though, because I think you touched on something so good that I'm so guilty of myself. I feel like you and I are both very impatient people. I've always been like that. Like if I decide something, I'm like, I want it now. Like if I decided today, I'm sick of having green hair, I want to dye it purple, I would go out to the store right now and get purple hair dye because I'm like, oh, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it now. And that is just so not attainable and not realistic for long-term growth. And I think that that's a really good point to make, is because if you go at your goals or, try to get there, right away, like I said, on January 1st, all right, I'm going to change this, and this, you're going to burn out and you're going to fall off by February. So in order to ascend, you need to start low so that you have somewhere to go to. You can't go from 0 to 100. That's literally not attainable. It's not scalable. It's not reachable. Like you were saying with the smarter goals, I think one of them is attainable. You want to make sure that they're attainable goals that you can reach. And I'm kind of doing the same thing for myself. I'm really trying to give myself grace and start off small. And, like I said, I've been going back to the gym, but I'm not going crazy. Most days I'm walking at like a slow pace, and I'm okay with that because I will get there. So you really just need to give yourself grace and give yourself the permission to go with wherever you are. You're starting from where you are. If you are trying to get back to an old situation, like an old weight or an old revenue stream, if your business dipped a little bit, you can't compare yourself because you're in a totally different space and place in your life right now. So I think you just really, like, we all need to give ourselves grace with these New Year's resolutions. There's way too much pressure in our society and way too many people trying to sell us stuff, like realistically.
Yeah.
So we all just need to take a step back and pause and be okay with slow growth. Slow growth is sustainable growth, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I've done it the other way and it just doesn't last. It's the same with like losing weight. If you starve yourself, you lose, weight pretty quick. You eat a noodle and it all comes back. It's kind of the same thing. You got to do it like slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race. And I think that that's important. And when you are thinking of your word of the year, if you haven't yet chosen it, be reasonable with yourself and give yourself grace. Like this might be a year where you need your word to be something a little more personal, or maybe it's something that's like a little more, I don't know, I can't think of like a little more relaxed, and that's okay. That's that, we all are going through, I feel like 2024 was kind of a weird year for everybody. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm seeing that a lot online. Everyone's like, this year didn't feel right. Something was off. I'm seeing that a lot.
Something was off. Yeah. And I just feel like now, like in this, when you're thinking of your word, use one that brings you, that resonates with you, that brings you comfort. You know what I mean? And that you feel will guide you in a way that you want to be guided. You know what I mean? So like, I can't think of an example, but I wouldn't choose a word. That's why I was decided between a bunch of words, and then I narrowed it down to 2, and then I narrowed it down to my 1. But, it's like, I really take a lot of, I really think hard about it because I do let the word kind of guide me, and I look back on the word a lot, and I don't want to have a word with me for 12 months that isn't going to like just sit well with me or make me feel pressured or make me feel rushed or make me feel like I have to like really do something crazy big. You know what I mean? Like, and I just think it's important to remember that, like, it's okay to like chill. It's okay to choose a word that doesn't feel super powerful or, big. You know what I mean?
Like if you're burnt out, you're not going to want to choose a word like persevere. It's okay for your word to be rest or relaxation or self-care. Like that doesn't mean that you're going to sit on the couch every day eating cheese doodles. It just means that that's something you're going to prioritize in between the burnout moments. And that's okay. That's okay. And don't let other people dictate what your word should be. Don't let other people's input or their goals or their words influence what you should choose. You need to do what's best for you and really sit with it and see how it feels.
Yeah, that's a really great point. And I actually kind of not that I'm guilty of it, but I feel that, like what you said resonated with me, because obviously Laura and I are very connected to people in our industry. And there are some people in our industry who came out 2025 like swinging. Like, I'm telling you, they are doing crazy things. They're launching programs, they're launching businesses, they're posting on Facebook 3 times a day, sharing all their goals and all the things they achieved last year and all these things. And I'm like, oh my God, like I'm overwhelmed. I'm feeling like I've fallen behind. I'm feeling guilty that I couldn't do all the things that these people did. And, and I still feel that, actually, to a degree, if I'm being totally vulnerable, like, oh my God, I'm a little slow right now. Like, I'm not moving at that pace, and it feels hard. It feels like it sucks, honestly. It's a sucky feeling. It really is. And I have to take many moments and remember, like, I am in a way different season than this person, and I cannot compare myself to them. And we spoke about this last week too, but I really want to drive the point home that comparison really is the thief of joy. And, do not let what other people, whether it's in your industry or the people in your age group or the people, who are closest to you, don't let what they are doing, what they have accomplished, what they've started this year, don't let any of that influence what your goals are, what you're going to achieve, what you need to do. Like go within. Like, for me, like, I know for a freaking fact that I don't have it in me to like do all of these crazy things. I just don't. And so, even though I have major feelings of I am failing, which I do, I those feelings come from time to time, I have to constantly remind myself, like, no, you did great things in 2024 because of your support systems, because of the grace of God, because of some effort that you put in. And for what it's worth, you did good things with the hand that you were dealt in 2024. And I really have to like constantly be remembering that, and remember how I did it and who helped me do it, and all of that stuff. So, like, I know for a fact in 2025, my support systems, I'm going to be like attached to them at the hip, because they are helping me get through some really hard times right now. And like, you have to like kind of reflect on what worked for you. And the Full Focus Planner actually helps you do that too. Like, it always says what worked for you when you do your weekly previews, And I always think this is so redundant, but I always do it. So
Yeah, me too.
you have to really think like what worked for you, and do it think about the year, or maybe even just the last quarter, or the last week, the last month. Like, think about what really worked for you, and that's for you. That's what worked for you. What worked for you may not work for the other person who's starting another business and doing all these great things. But like, you have to think about yourself and what your goals are and what your values are this year. And then you start, setting your goals, choosing your word, and doing all of those things, even if it means that you have to fight some pretty tough feelings of imposter syndrome or failure, or just slowness. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
absolutely. Especially in our age group. I feel like I'm talking to the millennials out there. I feel like we have it pretty shitty a lot of the times, I gotta be honest. So we're in that like weird gap where everything feels really hard right now. And it's really important to not compare yourself to people based on age. Because, you kind of mentioned this, Holly. We do this all the time. If Holly and I compared ourselves to the people in our age group, Holly and I are not moms. We're not moms. And we're not ready to be moms. I know I would like to be a mom someday. And a lot of people would think by 33, I'm going to be almost 34. You should be trying to have kids right now. But I'm not ready. That's not my priority. But if I look at everybody else in my age group, I will feel behind. I will feel like, wow, that's what I'm supposed to be prioritizing is, getting married and having babies, but it's not the priority for me. The priority for me is growing my business, buying a house, having fun. Like, I'm going to be honest, having fun and having freedom right now in my life is a priority for me. And that's okay. Because if you try to measure your growth or what you're doing based on the other people in your age group, you are going to make some pretty rough life decisions that you cannot turn back on. So you need to really, it's okay to acknowledge other people, celebrate other people, but just remind yourself that things are different for everybody, and priorities and importance. Everybody has different important things in their life, and don't go just by age. Because I always wonder if people like look at us, Holly, and they're like, they must be so sad. They don't have kids. They're not married. Like I always wonder that. And that sounds crazy, but I really do think that.
Or, you know, this is confirmed. People think we're like in our 20s because we're such goofballs. You know,
Yeah.
we hear that all the time. You're so young.
do.
I'm like a year younger than you. I'm fine. Like,
I know we do hear that. But is it because I got like cat ears on, like, and we dress like we're 20? That might be it. I don't know. I got the grays to prove it.
If any of these listeners came into my apartment, they would be like, "Oh, she's 12. She's
Mhm.
actually 12. My entire apartment's pink and filled with stuffed animals." So, you know, but and that's like another thing I think about as I go into the year. Like, I just, you know, I don't want to have to worry about what other people think. You know what? Let them think you're sad if you're sad. Or if you're not where they are. You know what I'm trying to say. Let them,
Mhm. Yeah.
even if you're not sad, or let them think you're happy, even if you're not. Like, who cares anymore? You know, we're all like just trying to freaking live our lives. And, you know, I'm sure that there are people out there who look at Laura and I and say, like, oh, wow, like they have this great business and a podcast and they must be so happy not having kids, and they have kids. And then there are probably people who say, like, oh man, they're not married and they don't have kids, they must be so miserable. Like, there's gonna be people seeing it from all angles.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, there's nothing you can do to control what they think. And, you know, it is what it friggin' is, honestly. Like, that, I don't have like any crazy words of encouragement on that one.
No, it is what it is.
Right?
You're right. It is what it is. I keep on seeing too. I'm going on a small tangent here because we were talking about the age thing. I keep seeing these trends on TikTok where it's like, am I too old for? And I think that that is so ridiculous. I don't think anything has an age limit. Like I saw a video the other day and it was like a woman in her 30s. I think she was 30 and she had like a big hair bow on and she was like, be honest but be kind. Am I too old for this? And a lot of people in her comments were like, yes, not a good look.
Oh
And I'm
no.
like, no, I love wearing big bows and I don't care. I wear pigtails sometimes. I don't care. Like, I will never be too old, in my opinion, for something that I like. And that's how I'm going to live my
No.
life forever.
I aspire to be like 80 with all my pink stuffed animal filled
Yeah.
things in my apartment. Like, I will never outgrow anything. And for a while, I was like embarrassed to share it on like social media and
Interesting.
stuff. And I was like, yeah, because like all these people my age are like having kids and they have all these like neutral houses with like fancy indoor plants. And I'm like, and you know, and here I am with my squishmallows. No, I fucking like them. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm gonna be, you know, I'm going to share it even though it scares me a little bit, and I'm going to be myself. And that's what makes me feel good, is being myself. And sometimes it makes me feel bad too, you know, because I do feel like I've fallen behind, especially when I look at other people, other entrepreneurs or in my industry who are like ahead of the game, or, you know, have more revenue or make more money, or when I, you know, or when I look at people my age who I went to high school with who have houses and things like that. It is tough sometimes.
Yeah.
But you know, I have to just keep working towards my goals and do it at the pace that I feel comfortable at right now. And, you know, by Q2, when spring is coming and the days are longer, I might get a little pep in my step. In fact, I probably will. That's usually how it goes. Like for a lot of people, you know, spring is a time of rejuvenation and revival. So, you know, if anything, I've heard a lot that the new year, new me stuff is like a total scam, because you're still in the dead of winter. Everything's dead and quiet and cold, and, you know, everything is like still. And this is more of a time to like take a pause as opposed to like getting going. You know what I mean? And you kind of do that in the spring, like all the animals in nature. So, you know, if you got the pep in your step, though, good for you.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not me,
Well,
but good for you.
I would love if y'all would share your words of the year. Like, have you picked a word of the year? Did this podcast inspire you to choose a word of the year? I would love to know, because I feel like you hear people talking about the word of the year, but I feel like I don't hear it that much.
Yeah,
Like, it's not big.
I'm just nosy. Like, I want to know, like, what'd you choose? What's
And
guiding
why?
you this year, and why? Yeah, of course, I want to know why. So, if you chose your word of the year, go to the episode announcement on our Instagram. You can find us at Hustled Up Podcast and comment what your word of the year is. because we would love to know. And, you know, maybe we'll do like a little answer box on stories or
Ooh,
something, and
good
you can
idea.
share them. Maybe we'll share them on next week's episode. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we'll
Oh,
share
that'd be
some
so
words of the
fun.
year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, if
Yeah,
you
let's do
share it,
that.
we will announce it. We can do it anonymously, for privacy's sake. Definitely share. We would love to share with everybody else because I feel like it's going to be really, really cool to see how much they differ. Some people might have really like go get 'em words. Some people might have those words like rest and rejuvenate and, those more chill words. So I would love to see, how far on the spectrum we can go.
Yeah. So make sure you go comment or view our stories. We'll share polls and all that fun stuff. Or, on my Facebook, you can just find me at Holly and Silva on Facebook. I'll be sure to be asking on there as well because all of our colleagues are on there. But yeah, so connect with us on Instagram. We are at Hustled Up Podcast. We are also at Chores and More on TikTok, where you can see a lot of our Hustled Up content. And we are also at Chores and More on Instagram. If you are a fellow cleaning business owner and you want to see what we're up to or get some ideas, you can absolutely do that. And if you want to connect with me, all of my info is below.
Yes, and I am just Simple Pimple. I'm Laura Anatoly on everything. Go check us out. We would love to connect.
All right, awesome. This was a good one. I am going to go and take some Advils now because I have the worst headache ever.
Oh
And
no.
I think it's just because it's late. But anyway, thank you so much, guys, for listening. We will be back next Tuesday at 5 a.m. And so make sure you, subscribe to our channel on YouTube if that's where you are, and follow us on whatever platforms, just so you can stay connected because, like we said, we have some good content coming your way. Hopefully this episode was a little encouraging for you. Hopefully my vulnerability is, hopefully it's appreciated. But I appreciate you guys listening to both of us, and may we all have a really kick-ass 2025. We'll see you next week.